everybody, welcome to DIY the Show. My name is Andrew Lowry. DIY the Show is the public act show. We talk about DIY ethics, morals, ideas, and how they relate to your real, actual life. So each week, me, Andrew Lowry, I sit down with a couple of guests, and we talk about why they choose to do it themselves and why it's better than everything else. So without further ado, I want to welcome you all to DIY!
It's time for DIY.
Mortals of the internet, prepare yourselves for a feast of entertainment on today's DIY. And now your host, Andrew
announcing me in. Thanks to Judge Carbia today. We have Judge Carbia in the studio. Yeah, how you doing, Judge Carbia?
Kicking ass.
Yeah, we have Carbia's court today.
Not.
So we're talking fashion today on DIY. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm having a great day. I hope you are as well. It's a blustery day, a little windy. I don't know why I talk about the weather because that's not relevant to the future viewers and all that jazz. But either way, we're talking about weather here on the show. And you know, like, what do you think of my outfit? Like, that's what I really want to know. Like, if you're watching on Facebook right now, how does my outfit look? This is pretty much casual, everyday Andy. Maybe I'll have my guests a little later judge my clothing styles. But I will say, the socks. If you could see, Andrea, we got a good sock shot. Is that a good sock shot?
And our week's topic is fashion, by the way.
Well, thanks, Carby. I said that, or, you know, okay.
I heard weather.
So there's my socks. They kind of match my shirt, right? Let me know in the comments if that's a relevant thing to anything in life. But either way, we're hanging out on the show. As always, off the top, I check in with everybody. So we got our house band in the studio today. Steve is nice enough to join the house band. How we doing, Steve?
I'm good.
Yeah, so Steve works a lot behind the scenes. He does audio help with our good friend Green Zeus. You're actually Green Zeus's protege? How does it feel to work under that sort of, that weight?
I feel blessed.
You feel blessed. Hashtag blessed, hashtag Steve.
Yeah.
So Steve brings in the sick riffs for us this week. I don't think we've ever had an electrical guitar on the show, in the house band at least.
Right.
So any pinch harmonics, any sort of like, do you feel any sort of inspirato coming in today?
Just playing the chords and throwing a pinch harmonic or two, you know, spice it up a bit.
I like it. Steve's a low-key guy, keeps it low-key.
Yeah.
So also next to you is Cliff. Cliff, how we doing, Cliff?
I'm doing just great, Andy.
I'm great. I'm glad to see you, Cliff. So something I've recently kind of put together is you've been here, what, maybe 4 or 5 episodes now?
Sure, yeah.
And I know nothing about you.
Yeah, I intend to keep it that way.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool. Just like
Confidential now?
Yeah. So if anybody knows anything about Cliff and wants to let me know, I'd love it. Just send me a message. Any dirt, any sort of skeletons, we're gonna find them, Cliff. I'm on the hunt. All right, buddy.
Okay, good luck.
And I'm hungry like the wolf.
Oh, Duran in the studio. Judge Duran, the Honorable Judge Duran. So Carbia, how about you? What's going on with you?
Well, you know what they say? Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man.
Oh, there we go. ZZ Top in here. I love it.
Yeah, either way, well, it is fashion, so I figured. Usually going up mid to upper class isn't my thing, but
yeah.
But figured why not make an exception?
Well, we do here on the show explicitly say "fuck the rich" on a daily basis. But Carbia, I do appreciate you, jumping up in the class, wearing a tie. I love the tie. That's really nice. Did you tie that?
It's been like that for a while.
Fair enough.
But I've yet to study the whole Winster techniques and the like.
Fair. Most of my ties are pretty much always tied as well, and I just slip them around my neck and scoop them up. I don't understand what the big deal about that is. Whatever. If you know how to tie a tie, leave me a message in the comments.
Yeah, there's videos on YouTube. Yeah, refer to those.
Oh, YouTube videos. I should probably watch those. Well, either way, it's a fun day on the show. I like a lot of things. I'm really interested in learning about fashion here today. I'm really interested in seeing sort of like where clothing is now. I feel like aesthetics and sort of people's different wardrobes has sort of grown into this weird place we're all in, and I'd love to explore that more. So if you have any questions, we're going to have our first guest up right after this next video. Our video we're going to right now, our good friend Caitlin Lassie, she teaches us yoga every week. This is her 3rd lesson for us, Now, I'm trying to find inner peace, and I want my viewers to as well. So if you feel like it, lay down your yoga mat right now and get on and do some yoga. That would be really weird if you did that, but I think it's really cool. So we're going to go to video with Caitlin Lassie showing us some yoga. This week's lesson is upward dog's pose, and I called it What's Up Dog because I like making jokes. So Cliff and Steve, sorry, force of habit. So Steve and Cliff, why don't you play some music? And when we come back, I have Sheri next to me. We're going to have much more DIY here on the show. Oh, sharp dress, man, nice. Do-do-do-do, ba-ba-ba.
Hey everybody, it's Caitlin. Today I want to talk about upward facing dog. Up dog is a super energizing and uplifting pose, and it's really great for opening and stretching the front side of the body. So to come into up dog, start off in kind of like a plank pose. Wrists under your shoulders, spread your fingers super wide, step your feet back behind you. From here, untuck your toes so the tops of your feet and your toenails are on the ground, and allow your hips to drop. Now it happens a lot here when you let your hips drop like this, is this sort of softening in the shoulders, in the legs, in the entire body. And there's not a lot of effort here. It's kind of nice, or you can just kind of hang out here. But in this version of this pose, not only are you not really getting the benefits of the pose, but the more that you repeat this action, the more likely it is for some uncomfortability or maybe even pain, especially in the shoulders and the wrists, even further down the road. So to really access the full benefits of this pose, press your toenails, the tops of your feet, and your hands down into the earth. This activates the arms, begins to activate the legs. Now to activate the legs further, squeeze your feet towards one another, and to expand the chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Reach the crown of your head up to the sky. Set your gaze softly, straight out in front of you. This feels so much better, so much more spacious for my low back. And this version, so much more energizing. Thank you very much for sharing this practice with me today. If you're interested in more tips or just checking out what else I have to offer, head to my website, CaitlinLassieYoga.com. There's lots of fun stuff there. Namaste.
It's time for DIY.
Welcome back to DIY, the show where everything's chaos. I'm Andy Lowry. I'm your host. I love everyone. I hope you're watching on Facebook Live right now. If you are, let us know what you like. Let us know what you're having fun with. As always, I'm here goofing around, doing my thing. We're talking about fashion today, and I have a guest with me. So today on the show, we have Sheri Furneaux. I said it right?
You did.
I did?
You did. You got it.
We have Sheri with us. So Sheri, you're an amateur photographer and a model.
I'm actually a published photographer.
Published,
and model.
so I'll stop saying amateur. So we have a professional in the studio. Let's hear it for Sheri, everybody. Welcome.
Thumbs up for the pros.
So welcome to the show. Now, Sheri, I'm really interested in fashion, mainly because I have no sense of it. I feel like my aesthetic is that of an aging skateboarder.
Okay,
and I would like to update that a little bit. I primarily shop at H&M because it's affordable, or PacSun.
Okay.
I wear PacSun jeans a lot. These are real revelations about myself. But as far as your experience as a professional model and photographer, what sort of stuff do you do? How'd you get involved in this? I think we have some pictures we could show while you're talking. But let us know a little bit about your experience as a photographer/model.
I started as a model.
Okay.
So maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a friend just kind of like stick a camera in my face.
Nice.
And then I was like, I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I started to take self-portraits, and then I got my own camera. And then I started to take other people's portraits. And I feel like kind of that already knowing a background of models helped me push through into the actual modelographer scene. It's a new term for a lot of models who we've decided to kind of pick up photography as well to kind of help each other out because honestly, becoming successful in this field is entirely based on how good you are at social media.
Oh, 100%. I mean, honestly, everything. Like, if I could go on a rant real quick, I fucking hate you, Facebook. I'm streaming on you right now, but I fucking hate you. You make me have to do, like, algorithm math and try to figure out how robots and artificial intelligence
Same the hell here.
I'm not that fucking smart. I'm not.
You need to be an AI.
You need to be an AI.
You do. I need you
So
to
I
go
need
Not
to
to
the
confuse
chip.
with our alma mater.
Yeah, or what's it called? What was the movie AI? Wasn't that a
Artificial
movie?
Intelligence.
Yeah, who was in that? Was Robin Williams or that was Bryson Tiller?
That was-
Sorry, we're going on side stuff.
Francis
But
O'Connor
you're
did
saying
that.
so. I think when you're talking about this modelographer term, I love that because we're here talking DIY. That's the name of the goddamn show, and that's perfect. Like you're saying, it's all about social media.
yeah.
It's all about your presence. You know, and this sort of. You don't have someone to take your photos. You become the photographer. You know what I mean?
Completely. I think photography is seeing an entirely new level of DIY because you had a lot of like really crusty, like went to art school, I shoot only on the biggest DSLR that I can find kind of people. And then you have this whole upcoming of people who are really immersed in both sides of the camera, who are kind of like, I picked up this old camera off someone for $50 and everything is really grainy, but I'm going to make it work somehow.
Well, like you said, it's about the social media presence, and I think what attaches to that social media presence is the idea of a sort of aesthetic. And so when things are distilled down to like either a single post or a single photo, you wind up having to stick to like what's not necessarily trending, but what's relevant to like the audience you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
Do you find any sort of difficulties with that, or is there some sort of aesthetic you're trying to cultivate yourself?
I mean, I feel like there are a lot of overlapping circles, and it really depends on what you're doing. In particular, with fashion, you have commercial and you have non-commercial work. And I definitely immerse myself in the non-commercial because it's a lot less about finding brands to work with or knowing people who do things like New York Fashion Week who can like bring you out to walk for them, which I did have a friend walk for Fashion Week this week.
Wow.
Z the Bug on Instagram, who is
Bug name drops.
definitely one of my model and fashion inspirations, where it's like everything is very thrifted and queer and different than a lot of the other stuff that you're really seeing out there, which is kind of what I think myself and a lot of people I'm associated with are trying to do.
I think that's really interesting. You're saying inspiration. That's what I was going to ask you next. Where do you sort of find your inspirations for fashion? I feel like, for me, I look at modern fashions and there's a wide selection. Like you're saying, there's New York high-end fashion, and then I feel like there's this new DIY, cultivated thrifting with some really nice pieces you have. What is sort of your inspirations? Where do you sort of look for?
I mean, everything is thrifted.
True.
Everything I own is thrifted. I think everything I'm wearing right now, I got off the same person at a clothing swap that I hosted.
Oh, wow.
So I'm all about finding people to associate myself with who, like, kind of have an aesthetic that I would like to fit in with, and then we bounce a lot off of each other.
That's really interesting, because then it's sort of the same way I look at music scenes, where it's a bunch of bands sort of influencing each other by playing together and learning each other's sound. You're, as people wearing clothing, sort of influencing each other in that way by just trading clothes.
Well, I think the important thing to note with that is the fact that we're really taking what people define as fashion photography out of fashion photography. So rather than having these really nice pieces you're wearing and being like, I'm a model and I'm wearing this piece and everything is about the piece. Nothing is about the piece.
Yeah.
Everything is about the model.
Okay.
Which is really cool. I think it's kind of reinventing the way that we look at fashion photography.
Very interesting.
Because I mean, for me at least, like the people that I work with and a lot of the work that I do is more on the fine art spectrum.
Okay.
It was actually, I had to go through to find for photos. I was like, what do I have of people wearing clothes?
Oh, yeah? So a little NSFW. Yeah, we cannot show nudity.
Yeah, no.
Not safe for work.
And not
But
on a public access show.
Taking stuff like that, taking fine art and making fine art into something that's fashionable is something that I'm very into. I think that's very DIY.
So coming from an art world, and you're saying this sort of like art school like mentality, what are sort of, do you try to like portray any themes within your work? Is there any sort of like metaphors or sort of like actual messages you're trying to portray with the fashion and photography?
Absolutely. I see a lot of models, because models are coming together. Models are unifying themselves. There are these like safe spaces and safe groups throughout so many different model communities, and the most important one to me is the queer community. I'm a non-binary artist, I'm a queer artist, and I try to portray as much of a diversity in what I'm showing to other people, because I think a lot of fine artists and fashion photographers kind of pick the same archetypes to show over and over again. And to me, it's not only is it boring, but it's super exclusionary to the fact that like most of my friends who are trans, non-binary, queer have to kind of put on this face, this like straight girl face for a lot of photographers, and watching that mold be broken is something that I absolutely am having my hand
So like
in.
the model look, so to like quote a shitty movie, Zoolander, but you get like the blue steel. It's not
No,
like
exactly.
you're pushing away from that and sort of like
And like tea gray.
Yeah,
that's a good one. But whatever your personality, or even for the trans non-binary person, whoever is being the model, they can show their true personality through that photo rather than this like stringent. And that's the great thing about DIY. It's never a stringent set of rules you're stuck with.
Exactly.
You DIY anything. It's the fact that we created ourselves. We are the infrastructure. We don't need no parents, blah blah blah,
Yeah, exactly.
to make it really adolescent.
None of that authoritative crap.
Yeah, no authoritative. Here at DIY, we may be in our late 20s, but we still say "fuck you, mom and dad."
Yeah, almost hit my 30s like Melonia's too.
Oh yeah, Carbia?
This coming July, of course.
Nice. So either way, talking about that's I think really interesting, because you're sort of taking your work and realizing your platform and using it to the best of its abilities.
Yeah,
so that's
completely.
really an important thing to do.
Breaking the stereotypes of what people consider to be a model is really important to me, because I definitely faced some weird criticisms from photographers, or being overly posed, or having someone just in general be a creep to you. There's a lot of like stingy weirdness within the photographer world. Within the photography world in general, I feel like there are a lot of like restrictions that people place, and deconstructing that entirely and watching the fact that there is in fact a platform for that to happen outside of the regular fashion world is very exciting.
Yeah,
it's all very exciting.
I think that's great, and I think like you're saying, it's sort of rewriting the mold, especially when we're talking about models. So it's really like a new frontier that I feel like is being pushed through, and it's kind of like that in all aspects of almost every creative avenue right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the most refreshing, like heartwarming thing to see in this shitty, like tyrannical, whatever, I'm going too extreme, but this shitty world, this shitty country we're living in right now, and sort of the outlook of the future, and my optimism is dwindling as I'm talking to you.
I
sorry,
totally
Sheri. I'm
understand.
sorry.
It's getting sad. It's getting bleak.
No. We're happy here. We always party here. So I'm always into getting some advice myself here on the show. So we were talking how my aesthetic is that of an aging skateboarder and or hipster circa 2013. So those are both my aesthetics. Now, would you say there's anything someone of my look and feel should kind of like, any pieces I should look out for if I see them on the racks?
I mean, definitely the socks. The sock game is important. No, I'm matching. I'm literally matching my socks. To my shirt.
That's the
it's
key.
important. It is the key. You did that. You pointed that out, and I was like, yes, true, exactly. But if your hat matched your socks, which matches your shirt, then you would have like a complete.
That's okay. So the hat needs to change. Okay.
But the beanie is good. Like the aging, like skateboarder look, like is gonna be in. Like you look like you came out of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and it's still in 2018.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go shred later.
You should shred. Yeah, definitely shred.
Like, no, actually, I've said this to my friends before. If like my friend group back when I was younger was Rocket Power, I was Squid. So I was the guy. Come on, guys, catch up. I'll learn how to ollie eventually. I got a backpack. Blah blah blah.
Shout out to the Nick fans, by the way.
So that was me, and that was my life. But yeah, no, I mean, I work in a semi-corporate office world, and so I try to like, I've been slowly elevating, because everyone I work with like workplace fashion is so crazy.
Yep.
And everybody stepped their game up. So
Good button up, good
Yeah.
shoes.
good shoes.
Real good shoes.
The sock game has just
Yes,
started though
but
for me.
it's-
The sock game. That's
You gotta
new.
like cuff
Yeah.
and then have the good socks with the nice
I
shoes.
just have to have the right body type for the pants I wear because my waist's too wide and my legs are too short.
You're talking to someone who has like a 10-inch difference between their waist and their hips.
Yeah,
Like, I feel you.
Husky.
It's all good.
Thumbs up for the Huskies.
Thumbs up for the Huskies, Yukon Huskies.
Yeah,
Connecticut.
exactly.
I boot,
exactly.
I boot.
Sherry, you want to hang out with us a little longer? We got a bunch more show. I got to go to another
Awesome.
video. So the next video we have right now, our good friend Sparks, they do pop culture reviews for us. They take the topic for the week. They look into it, find different avenues, different movies to recommend to you. Sparks is basically the person to recommend some cool shit to you. So watch his video, their video. They're going to tell us about the best films relating to fashion. It's really fun. And when we come back, we got much more Sherry and maybe a second set of guests. So you're watching DIY. Cliff, Steve, you want to rip some rips? So as always, DIY will be right back.
You been sneaky, snow.
What was that?
Stay tuned. We'll be back
Oh,
soon.
X-Men going on?
Hi, this is Sparks Pop Culture Corner. I'm Sparks Lowry. Today we're going to be talking about movies around the fashion industry. Let's see, the most obvious is Devil Wears Prada. I happen to think Meryl Streep is a little overrated, but she kills in that. Of course, who can resist the Tooch? Stanley Tucci, my boy, and Anne Hathaway's cute. She's cute. Pret-a-Porter, the Robert Altman film. Perfume. Funny Face with Audrey Hepburn. That's a classic. She and Fred Astaire have really good chemistry in that. I recommend that. It's kind of been forgotten about, but I really enjoy it. Blood and Black Lace, the Mario Bava film. It's a classic giallo. I know that's not really your go-to fashion film, but it is about the fashion industry. Speaking of which, Blow Up, the Antonioni classic, I have that on Criterion Edition actually, but that's a lot of fun. It also features a great performance by the Byrds, Jeff Beck smashing the shit out of his guitar. It's a lot of fun. We didn't say it had to be good movies about the fashion industry, so I'm gonna go bring up the Sex and the City films. They're not good. Don't see them unless you hate yourself. Confessions of a Shopaholic, the Disney classic with Isla Fisher. Let's face it, that's not good either, but Isla Fisher's cute, and she kind of carries that movie most recently, I think. And I know it's technically about modeling, but I think it counts as Neon Demon, the Nicholas Winding Refn film, which I have problems with, but it's a trip. Let me tell you, and it's a Refn film. Now, it's something I've noticed. The ones that usually aren't romantic comedies like Head Over Heels are usually psychological thrillers, like horror films, like Blood and Black Lace and The Neon Demon. That goes very hand in hand with the way the fashion industry is very cutthroat. It's portrayed as very cutthroat. And I'm sure that's a thing in real life. I'm sure that's very true, but I would like to hear more from anyone who works in fashion or is trying to work in fashion. Send your emails to DIYtheshow@gmail.com and they'll probably forward it to me. But I would like to hear if the fashion industry is as cutthroat as it has been portrayed to be. And if you've been attacked or killed by rivals in the fashion industry, especially if you've been killed, please send your emails to me. I'd like to hear your stories. The crazier the better. This is Sparks Pop Culture Corner. I'm out. Bye.
It's time for DIY.
Alright everybody, hey and welcome back to DIY. We're here partying as always. Thank you again for that brutal intro, Carbia,
Slayer.
Cliff, and Steve for playing me in the house band today. As always, we're still here talking fashion on the show. If you're watching in the comments, I want to start taking your questions, so let us know what you have, and our good friend Green Zeus will yell them out to us through the control room. Back with me on the show is Sheri. They're still here hanging out, watching the show with us. We've had a bunch of fun hanging out. Now, over the break, we were kind of talking a little bit about the difference between, female clothing and male clothing, and I had a viewer, a good friend, Sarah Applecheeks out there. Sarah, thank you for asking. But she asked, why is it that women's clothing is so non-universal? So you go to one store, you try something, it's a different size. I've never had this. I was literally saying to you, as a man, I can go in and say, okay, these are the size of my waist. These are the size of my legs. I don't need to try these on. Peace out. What's it like for the other side of the clothing store?
It's like I like to not try anything on. I'm one of those people. I'm
Fair.
I just want to get it and go. I hate shopping.
Me too.
I really hate shopping.
That's nice to hear
unless it
because I
involves
figured
gaming.
you'd like sort of perusing racks.
On rare occasions.
Okay.
When it comes down to it, it's like I know I can't order anything online because if I order anything online and I don't see it in person, I know that it's not gonna fit me.
Yeah.
I know that women's clothing, I feel like, is so much more tailored. Everything has to
Snug.
suck in here, be snug here. So if you just don't have these crazy dimensions that people think that the female body has, then you just are fucked.
Yeah. If you're not the perfect symmetrical shape.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or they advertise really weird clothing. There was this whole period where everything was just shapeless. It was a bag that you're just wearing. And it's
baggy sweaters? Is that still in?
Baggy sweaters are in, but when you have a dress that has literally no shape to it and you put it on a person who's not smaller of frame, it's just wearing a trash bag.
Yeah.
The clothing sizes make no sense and they're not regulated. So since
let's get some bureaucracy on this.
Exactly. The numbers. The real facts.
The real facts, exactly.
There's no regulation to waist size. So you can be a size 8 in one brand of clothing and a size 14 in another. I range over 3 sizes.
Yeah, I'm pretty much medium, and this, my waist is my waist, my legs are my legs, that's all been the same forever, and that's really crazy to me. Let me ask you this. So this is maybe something I kind of just think about musically, right? So I feel like what's fashionable, what's in, is become sort of bled into everything. So when we were in high school, right, you knew who the popular kids were because they wore North Face jackets and Ugg boots.
Yes.
Or, Abercrombie polos. I'm actually wearing an American Eagle shirt right now, so I'm kind of just judge unless you be judged.
That's Tony Hawk. I went to high school in a white suburban area.
Thank you, Carbia. No, order in the court here today. But so I find we're in this sort of gray area now where I don't want to say people are posers, but it's more or less the popular fashion is the alternative fashion.
It is.
And so it's really hard for me as someone who grew up being picked on for the way I dressed and the things I chose to enjoy to see these people who necessarily didn't go through that same sort of hardships wear it as sort of a costume.
I think that all the time.
You think that all the time?
I was
cool,
because I was a major freak. I was a freak of nature. My 8th grade school photo is so freak of nature bad that I haven't actually
have it.
hanging
Let's
up
play
in
it,
my
Justin.
bedroom.
I'm just kidding. No, we don't have it. We don't have it.
Unfortunately, it's just become mainstream. It's the rock fashion.
Yeah, the rocker.
I'm gonna be punk now.
I'm gonna be punk. I'm gonna get a Thrasher shirt.
Yeah,
or a Metallica
exactly,
shirt.
exactly.
And I mean, it definitely started with the whole the Kardashians. I like saying Kardashians. It's fun for me to say. But they sort of wearing these ripped shirts, and I get it. You look cool. We all look cool in a ripped black T-shirt that has a cool band's logo on it. But I just want to know who I can talk to about bands. I know in this world we shouldn't judge books by cover, but I at least want to know maybe this person will have similar interests.
I think if they're wearing a classic rock T-shirt, maybe don't.
Maybe don't.
Maybe don't.
It has to be...
maybe look for the real freaks. I played a show with this guy that had these. This was in the middle of New Hampshire, Claremont, New Hampshire, with my band, the Baja Blasters.
Oh, name drop, Baja Blasters.
We
love them here.
He was wearing this shirt that just said Janet fucking Weiss, and I was like, oh, you like Sleater Kinney? Okay, we can be friends.
Yeah. See, that's cool.
You gotta
but
you gotta
even
look.
That's gonna devolve, and there's gonna be a point when you're gonna see I've seen a Descendants shirt in an Urban Outfitters, and it's
I know.
All right, well, that doesn't really.
I'm glad you bought the
clarify
rights
anything,
to that Urban Outfitters.
Yeah. But so that's kind of the world we're in right now, and it's tough. But I at the same time, I understand that nobody's born cool. Nobody's born with a Sonic Youth record coming out of the womb. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Unless you've heard it. You seem like you've heard someone doing that before.
I came out the womb and my dad handed me No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So your dad was into ska?
My dad's pretty cool like that.
That's sick.
He's into D&D, he's into ska, and he's really into
So your dad
female
is me in
punk
the future.
vocalists.
That's literally all of my favorite things.
Yes.
Like, seriously.
I wish my parents were like that, for crying out loud.
But yeah, that's awesome. So next week we're gonna invite your dad on.
Yeah, sounds
and me
great.
and him could just talk about how Gwen's fun. He's amazing.
But then you have to question him on the fact that he can't be punk and a right libertarian at the same time.
Well,
Ooh,
Green
tough
Zeus.
questions.
Green Zeus is a right-wing libertarian. He's our audio operator. But either way, that is kind of a contradiction. It's kind of hard to be like anti-establishment and then. But then the libertarian, I'm not into libertarianism. If you want me to go on a long political rant about how I'm not into libertarianism.
We could talk about it forever.
Because you don't stand for anything. What you stand for is yourself, you selfish prick. Like, come on, bro.
Like,
Sorry,
I understand,
anger.
but...
I'm in an angry mood today. I'm usually in an angry mood. But either way, Sheri, I'm having a great time with you. I think our next guests are actually hanging out in the wings. So we're going to go to another video. Right now we have a music video from the band Bad Fellows for their song Heaven. If the house band wants to play me some music, and when we come right back, we're going to be talking more. We got plenty of guests here on this show, so you're watching DIY. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching. Oh, shit.
Yeah, Romy Michelle.
You don't know the rights to this.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, dude? Have you seen my keys?
What was the name of this band again?
I don't know, they kind of suck.
It's time for DIY.
Hey everybody, welcome back to DIY the show. My name is Andrew Lowry. We're here hanging out talking fashion. Thank you to the house band for playing me in. Thank you to Green Zeus for fixing all the problems underneath our videos. Green Zeus is a god, literally. I'm sacrificing some goats later to you. Big ups to Green Zeus. So we're back here on the show talking DIY fashion, talking about building your clothing, all that sort of stuff. Now, I have some guests with me. They joined us now on the couch. So thank you. Let's get a nice round of applause, everybody. Nice round of applause. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you both do.
All right, and I'm Chantelle. I'm Charlene, and we're the Teeny Twins.
Oh, dang.
So yes, we have a clothing line called Mahlatini Couture. It's mostly swimsuits for now.
So we have some pictures if Justin wants to bring those up while we talk.
Right. So yeah, we've been doing that since the
2012.
Yeah,
Wow.
2012. Yeah,
So
it's been quite a while.
How'd you guys sort of get started?
We just like dressing up. Pretty much we used to dress up when we were young, so we wanted to create our own fashion.
Right.
So that's how we became.
Some clothes that were
Right.
yours.
Yes.
That's
exactly.
awesome. So now you guys you both mainly do swimsuits?
Yes.
Now do you do any other things, or that's mainly what your line is,
Right.
but
Yes.
I'm sure you do other
We
stuff?
actually started with crew necks, and we had like sayings on them, but that didn't really work out for us. We wanted to be more original.
Personal.
So
Yeah.
that's how we started making clothes. I actually make the swimsuits right
Oh,
now.
really? You sew them by hand and everything?
Yeah.
Also, she made this.
Oh yes, I love this. Now,
Right.
did you both make Sherry's? Can we get a free shot and see our
Next time she's
fashion
gonna get
episode? We got coordination here. This was unplanned, but I love it. I love it.
It was unplanned.
It was unplanned. It was
Yeah,
100%
it shows that we
unplanned.
all are very fashionable.
You are. So this is what's in right now. We're on the cutting edge.
Yeah, we got a tubular trio here.
Oh, Carbia's almost there. He's got the kind of look going. So getting into fashion. So you said you wanted to make clothing that was personal to you. You wanted to get things made that you enjoyed.
Right.
Now, what does fashion mean to both of you? What do you think when you think fashion?
Being able to express yourself through what you wear, definitely style, having your own style, trying to be unique. I think that shows what kind of person you are through your clothing.
Yeah.
And another thing that's important with fashion is you can create trends which empower. They don't necessarily have to you don't have to wear the same things as everybody else, but it's like a way of bringing women together. That's how we look at it.
Right.
Like with our swimsuits, when we have photo shoots, we bring all the girls, different sizes, different ages, and we bring them together so that they see that even not focusing so much on the clothing, but what's
The whole
behind
outcome,
it.
right.
Me and Sheri were just talking about
Right.
that earlier,
Yeah.
where it seems like fashion's moving away from what the clothing is on the person,
Right.
like a living mannequin,
Right.
and more about.
Looking at you, Kim Cattrall.
Fair enough. And then leading into what is more the personality behind it, and how that fashion reflects the personality.
So that's what we try to aim for. And stuff
That's very
like
cool. So, what sort of inspirations do you both draw from? Is it each other?
Yes. And other celebrities like Rihanna.
Okay.
And
Beyonce is a big inspiration.
Beyonce. I mean, Beyonce inspires all of us on a daily basis. I feel like so.
Except yours truly.
Come on, you know.
Judge Joe Brown.
Yes.
No offense.
All the big brands, but right now I'm really inspired by the young women that are creating their own brands and trying to branch out and just not focus on what's already out there, but creating their own.
I think that's really cool because I do think we're in this weird world fashion-wise now. As someone who doesn't really participate in it, I think about it weirdly a lot. I think about how people dress a lot because I'm a judgy person on the inside. But I see there was a sort of trend for a long time where we were going through the decades. Let's get inspired by the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now we're hitting this point where let's distill all those generations and then add the future to it. Let's get weird. And so I love this sort of futuristic looks we're sort of getting more and more. And Sheri was saying the sort of non-binary aspects, it's sort of questioning what people are thinking and where the future of what beautiful will be.
No, I do. I definitely see a lot of fusion between what you're making and wearing and what men are wearing.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's sort of this overlap on what's fashionable. And we love vaporwave aesthetic, you know what I mean? Who doesn't like a good vaporwave song? Shout out to Lo-Fi Chill Hip Hop Indie Playlist on YouTube, Chill Relax Study Beats. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so with this sort of future of fashion, what do all three of you, we'll go down the line, what do you sort of see future trends being?
Jeez, honestly, I think whatever that younger people that we see nowadays are creating, we need to pay more attention to that and support each other because that's going to be huge. They just need the support to keep going. So I think focusing on smaller brands.
Yeah.
Definitely is a way to think about what the future is gonna look like.
So elevate the little, like, that's what I'm saying, because, you know, kids know what's cool. Always. They always know what cool. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
8-year-olds, let your kids dress you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's weird.
Yeah.
So how about you? Where do you sort of see fashion going?
Honestly, just keep on creating.
Keep on creating.
Yeah, that's for me, because you never know
more and more.
Right, you're not really gonna know what's gonna be in the future until you just keep creating.
So just wait around and see what happens, right? Sherry, how about you? Any sort of future predictions?
I mean, I think fashion is going to completely kind of turn itself on its head, where you go, because they're saying that kids these days aren't really paying attention to like what's marketed at little boys or little girls. So I'm hoping as we forward into the fashion world, we see a lot of like the establishment of what we consider to be menswear and female wear, and kind of like blending the two together. I'd like to see more.
Yeah, I think that is what's only, you know, a matter of time. I mean, there's definitely pushback, but I think that the overwhelming support, or at least mentality, is let people dress how they want to dress, and who are you to say?
Plus all the small designers that we have coming out.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's so easy to support locally and be able to support a brand that's like really changing the way things are going.
I find it really interesting, and I really see sort of every aspect of creativity and creation has sort of adopted this, where it's like, with now the availability to everybody do it themselves. You know, you could always make your own clothes, but could you sell them? Could you get an online storefront? So there's sort of this ease of use with it. Now, do you all find sort of the internet is sort of your best friend? What are some internet tips as far as like getting your fashion or your photos out there?
I mean, it's been good so far. We have an online store, LatiniCouture.com, and
check it.
It's been good so far. You know, it's just promoting. Instagram is a good way to network with people that are not here. We've sent our swimsuits to people all over, from LA to out of the country. So, I mean, it's a good way to just network with people for sure. That's how I see it. But it comes with the bad, of course. You know, that's every day.
How about you? Anything?
I just think social media is very big on marketing in today's world. Everybody's online.
You got some good hashtags for? You got any good hashtags people can steal?
Latinicature swim.
Oh yeah, just use your hashtags. It's not yours. We'll take it. Yeah.
I don't know, whatever the weather, like summer, spring break.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's cool. Yes. That's smart, because people are looking for that season's clothing.
Right. Yes.
See, I kind of go opposite. I'm like, all right, I'll buy my bathing suit in the winter, get that deal. You know.
You can do that too.
Yeah. So, Sherry, how about you?
Hashtags are like the bane of my existence, and it's because Instagram enforces these really, really weird algorithm changes all of the time. So like right now, they don't actively update every single hashtag that you use. So you have to like sit there and pick and choose what you're going to use, and if you use the same ones over and over again, they'll do this thing to you called shadow banning, where you just won't show up in hashtags. So like network, making friends in the industry.
The internet's over,
so
guys.
important.
It's all
no,
over.
the internet is all like now that I have a business account, it's like, oh well, if you pay like $1, we'll promote you.
Trust me, I pay for the episodes when we promote them each week, and I feel like garbage doing it. Huh?
Do you think
it 100%
it does help?
It's because it's literally at the point where they are limiting you. Like I'll post the same status, same words, same hashtag, same tags, same everything.
No,
and
it's
a
crazy.
Different reach.
Well, Instagram's reach now is if 10% of the population that follows you or follows the hashtags that you're using sees your post and engages with it, they show it to the other 90%. If not, they don't. So you really like knowing other models is important. Utilizing your Instagram story is important. Knowing who to shout out so they'll shout you out is important.
Very true. That's all true. I am really inspired right now. I really want to do an episode entitled "Fuck Algorithms" next season.
I would love to
so
be
I
on
think
that.
that's what we're gonna do. I'll get like a super smart MIT person to come in, and we'll just beat the shit out of them and be like, "This is your fault."
Yeah, look at you, Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, looking at you, Zuckerberg. Even though I'm streaming on your platform currently.
He's gonna suck you now.
Yeah, he's gonna zuck me out. So either way, we're kind of. I had a great time talking with the three of you. I think you're giving some great advice and really helping my viewers. I always like to leave the interviews off with one last piece of advice. So someone starting out, maybe someone either looking to get into fashion or someone who's looking to make their own clothes. What's a piece of advice you'd give someone starting out?
Do your research for sure, because that's an important piece to everything. You want to know what you're going into, and if that's what you really want to do.
I think
and
that's
deal with.
Yeah.
Everything is hard, but you just have to make sure that that's what you want to do.
No, I think that's a great piece of
advice.
advice.
Do your research.
Yeah, have the skills to back it up. Don't just come in and
and expect, it's easy, it's this and that. No, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the clothes will fall apart.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
No rip-offs.
What a piece of advice from you.
I would say do what you love,
Mhm.
definitely. I know sometimes people don't know what they love to do, so they don't know what to focus on, their passion.
Yeah.
But for me, it was kind of easy. I just loved sewing and I loved creating fashion. But
Yeah.
definitely find out what you love and work at it every day, and it would turn into something greater.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's really good. It's all about hard work and keeping the grind. So finding something you're passionate about.
Right.
That's what we always talk about here.
Yes.
I love passion.
Yes.
DIY. I keep doing hang loose. It's gross. I'm sorry. I'm not a surfer. I said skateboarding. Sheri, how about you?
My piece of advice definitely comes from the side of if you want to get into modeling.
Yeah.
And that is to know your worth.
Yeah.
Unbelievably, know your worth, know your body, embrace the way your body looks in and outside of photos, and do your research.
Yeah.
Definitely, network, connect, make friends with other models, and make sure that the people that you're working with are going to be safe. There's so many safety nets out there for models and young models, and it's so easy because a lot of photographers will be like, 18, 19-year-old, I'm all about it. They'll do whatever I want them to do. So know your worth and make sure you definitely do your research and check your references.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very important that you bring that up, because something I vividly noticed while going to an art college that taught many different majors, the photography majors, there's a couple of dudes sprinkled in there
even had a fashion major
specifically
there, too.
club photographers or BDSM photos where it's kind of like a weird gray area between, is this what you're into or is this something?
Exactly. A lot of my friends are traveling exotic models or erotic models or fetish models, and I personally having someone try and force those kinds of things on me without me knowing better and me doing my research kept me on hiatus as a model for about a year into my career.
And that completely makes sense, because you fuck the creeps.
Yeah,
get the
exactly.
fuck out of here.
Fuck the damnation of mankind.
Support your DIY artists.
DIY's lesson today is no creeps, no creeps. But yeah, so it's been great talking with you, all of you. I want to thank you all for coming in. I'm sure you helped my viewers a whole bunch with a bunch of things. So what's your website again? Where can we check that out? Shout outs. Say it right at this camera right here. Shout it right into it.
Our website is LatiniCouture.com. Also check us on Instagram at Latini Couture.
There you go. Follow them there. Sheri, how about you?
I'm on Instagram as Big Baby in Toyland.
Nice.
A Babes in Toyland nod. And I'm also on Spotify with my band under the Baja Blasters.
The Baja Blasters. Maybe I might just ask the Baja Blasters to play our season finale. I've been thinking about another band to ask about that. So either way, I don't have an Instagram. I feel like the show should get one. Let me know on Facebook if I should get an Instagram. I don't need any more. So I just got Snapchat like 3 months ago. I'm a grandpa. But either way, we're having fun hanging out, talking fashion here on DIY. When we come back, we're going to be listening to a live performance by Louis Rowe, a.k.a. Moonish Brute, full band. He was here last week. I'm so excited to see the full act. It's going to be crazy. The sound check was amazing. So, Steve and Cliff, you want to play some music? When we come back, we got much more DIY! Fuck you, Jimmy Fallon!
Hey everyone, Mikey Clappus here. DIY Music presents Lend Me Your Ears. It's been a long time, and I'm glad to be back. I left for a while. I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but let's just say I died, I was reborn, and I have emerged from the flames of my own ashes like the mighty phoenix from legend. Time to review an album. This time it's Chodas with A Series of Sudden Realizations Part 1. Chodas is a progressive indie folk rock band. They have the progressive rock tag on their Bandcamp, but personally, I don't think it's necessary. Their music should be more classified as weird, experimental, progressive. I think prog rock. I think Yes. I think Rush. I don't think that with these guys. These guys are much more in the vein of folk punk bands like Defiance Ohio and Bomb the Music Industry, and This Bike is a Pipe Bomb. And maybe that trilogy will give you a good sense of what we're about to listen to. The vocals, well, you can probably hear them playing in the background right now. They don't really require any explanation, but they sound like a cartoon character being strangled by another cartoon character in a good way. We've got a lot of jangly, playful, comic, dark sense of humor, acoustic rock. Basically what we've come to expect from these guys. These guys have been around for a while. They've got a pretty big discography. Right now we're talking about this album, which came out in September of 2017. And I think it's some of their strongest stuff to date. Really catchy guitar melody. Right out the gate we get Piano Boy. It might be my favorite track on the album. And why not? It's got everything that a Chodas song should have. Biting, self-deprecating sense of humor in the vein of Wheatus, if you remember Teenage Dirtbag, classic anthem. Seizures keeps the pace going with a nice little jaunty tune that sounds like it would be sung by a Chuck E. Cheese band at a birthday party. It's really light and plucky, but also super sad if you pay attention to the lyrics. Third song, which is What I Do, is really great. There's some awesome chorusy guitar riffs, very sloshy and sounds like they're affected by water. And I really like to see that attention to detail on tonal shaping in a band like this. When it's so straight ahead, everything is folk rock, it's basic, everything is derived from the chords, and you don't see this kind of attention to the sonic details in a lot of bands like this, and I really respect that. This attention to tonal sculpting can also be seen in a later track, Vigilante Justice, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The next one is a road trip tune called Stupid Low, and it's got that perfect walking bass, like dunk 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 dunk, that kind of playful feel. It's almost like a carnival tune. The song is very fun, and if you've noticed, I haven't been talking much about the individualities between tracks. That's because this is a very analogous album. All the songs really stick to one signature sound, and that's totally fine for this band because the sound happens to be really great. And I take it back. The last song, Intellect Over Instinct, that's my favorite from the album. It starts off playful, but then gets a little bit heavier. Especially, we lose a bit of that southern twang that the vocalist has been giving us. He drops it down to a more serious level, and the song seems sort of like an anthropology lesson with the lyrics. Intellect over instinct. We start talking about human nature and the darker side of things, but they still keep that comedy, and it feels like a No Means No track, or maybe even like early Fugazi. It's fun, folk rock. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Pop it in your CD player, pop it in your MP3 player, pop it in whatever player you got, because this is all you need this week. Next week I'll tell you what you need, but this week it's Chodas. And this has been another episode of Lend Me Your Ears. Mikey Clapp is here for DIY Music. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
It's time for DIY.
Hey everybody, welcome back to DIY the show. We've been having a great day as always. I really had fun talking about fashion with all my guests. I want to thank them all for coming in. I want to thank the house band, Carbia, Green Zeus. I want to thank all the crew, everybody as always. We're here on the show talking fashion. What I learned today is fashion is changing, so you better stay with it. Don't question things. Just sort of accept them and understand that maybe you don't understand what people find beautiful. And it's about what an individual finds beautiful, not what the collective consciousness decides is beautiful, For sure. And so you can also dress sharp, you can also dress beautiful, and you can also look cute, and wear whatever you want to wear, because that's what we say here on DIY. DIY, the reason why, is because I like to look good, I like to look pretty. And so, as always here on the show, we have a band play at the end. That band today is Moonish Brute. I'm so excited to see them as a full act. Lewis is an amazing performer, and I'm sure this is going to be great. If I hype it enough, up enough and make Lewis feel really nervous about it. But either way, thank you all for watching DIY. And now let's hear from Moonish Brew, everybody!
Sweetness, I've been dreaming of this candle, cradled in the darkness, elegance, how I've longed for this tracing after you leaves me breathless and alone. Stillness, it gone quiet when you left, an unsettling silence in my head. Something in you made me forget about all the blood, brought me to this bed. Now I lie in it. Now I'm a god and you're a ghost, and we have twin hearts made of stone. But I hit arrow, you hold the ball, and I've got a long road. You already know. Chose your own.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, let's hear it again for Moonish Brew in the studio. Woohoo! Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you so much. So my name is Andrew Lowry. I want to thank you guys again for playing. Anything we got to say? Anything coming up, Lewis?
Thank you, Andy. We're playing Trans Day of Remembrance on the 31st in Providence.
Okay, go see Moonish Brew in Providence. So find it.
Giant album release show April 6th in Austin.
Texas Giant, they were on here too. So as always, I like to invite all my guests. Everybody want to just come up? Everybody in the studio, whoever wants to come up. Judge Carmia, Admiral Judge Carmia, hurry up. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get over here. Hey, we got shout-outs for this shout-out period. We got any shout-outs?
I don't know. Shout out to all the nice models I know.
Nice models, you know. Shout-out.
Shout out to my mom. My mom.
Shout out to both of your parents. Yeah, all the supporters. Carmia, shout-out.
How good thanks to Alana Gordon, best photographer's ever.
There you go. Shout-outs here on the show. Moonish Brew, we have a collective shout-out.
All of our moms.
Yeah, definitely.
This episode is for the moms and Bummer City Historical Society. Next week it's a live open mic, so if you're watching, I want you to come play on my fucking show. Come play.
Shall we perform for that motherfucker?
Carby's gonna play. I'm gonna play a song. We got Troll 2. Shit's lit. Is the show over yet? Are we done? Get a shot of Green Zeus. What the fuck are you doing, Green Zeus? Let's get this show. Cut to Green Zeus. Cut to Green Zeus. Somebody cut to Green Zeus. What is happening? Green Zeus, look at your robes. They're beautiful. Yeah, you look sexy today. Yeah, it's DIY. It's time for Justin, end the show, please. Dabbing on the way out. Green Zeus is dabbing. I hate this. I really don't like this. This show. Can we just end the show? I have a fancy party to go to. I have to wear a suit. I have to change. Did we cut? Are we done? I don't know. Marvin, you need to answer me.